Slime Pack, what's up? You at home right now? Justin Hale, what's up? David Boyd, what's up? Just out here on some random side street, Garland, Texas. Waiting to get loaded. Off-grid trucker. Man, Slime Pack, I need to be home. This is starting to grind on me a little bit. But anyway, let me just get right to the point because I don't know how fast these people are going to be calling me. First of all, if you look at my title, I said it's a miracle. Man, I've been spending all this time out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I haven't missed an exit yet. So that's a miracle right there because I'll miss an exit. I factor that into my drive time is missing the exit, at least one out here. So I haven't missed no exits. That's a miracle. I'm glad you made it home. I can't wait to get home. So, anyway, second part of this title, and I might mention this a couple times as people come in here, but I can't keep up with some of the changes that are going on at Prime. All right, so therefore, I'm not going to shut the channel down. I just probably won't be speaking about Prime specifically. Because I can't, a lot of people that are in Prime thinking about coming to Prime, would call and ask questions about this or that, whatever. And I just can't give any solid advice on anything right now with all these changes and everything that's going on. That doesn't mean that I won't again at some point, but I just need to get some consistency going on with what's going on, because some of these changes that they're talking about, the only way that I would have known about some of these changes is somebody sends me a message and says, did you know about this? Well, no, I didn't know about this. How did you find out about this? Well, I went to the shop and they said this, or, it could be a number of different things that's kind of going on. So I just don't want to give any advice to anybody about anything and then have me be feeling guilty about the advice, or not even necessarily advice, but just some of the stuff that's going on when I don't really know what's going on. So I'll come on here and, I like doing lives and stuff like that. But as of right now, I probably can't, I can't give any solid advice or anything that's going on. All right, let's see. I'm lit. All right. Justin Hale, I got to drive through Dallas today to deliver it to Tyson in Houston. Boy, this load right here is going to Louisiana, probably one of my least favorite states to go to. Boy, I'd hate to be driving through there in a Freightliner. My Lord have mercy. Probably the only state that has worse highways than I-70 in Indiana. I got to go to Robert, Louisiana. At least it is a Walmart. Last time I was in Louisiana, I had to deliver at that restaurant depot right down there in New Orleans. And man, that was a headache right there. And you couldn't do that driving I'm just going to drive between the lines and all this kind of stuff. You had to be a road hog out there, take up 2 lanes, all that kind of stuff to make your turns and everything. Uh, Miriam, happy birthday. Off-grid trucker left in November. Do you want to mention why you might have left in November? Anything specific or in general? David Boyd's trailer broke into in Stockton, California. Man, that is definitely a place not. Were you at a truck stop or just some random street? All right, I'm living prime, not enough money, or leaving. Okay, prime, not enough money to cover the bills. Money's not the issue with me as far as that goes. I've kind of been looking at what my numbers are. And even if I had the truck payment, it wouldn't be optimum, but money's not even the issue that I'm talking about. It's just just a lot of the changes that are going on. But I can see that. Side street, yep. Stockton is definitely not the place to be out there on no side street. Funny story, I was in training and we were delivering in Oakland, and kind of close to that Oakland Raiders stadium and all that stuff that used to be out there. And we were parked right on the side of the road. There's like all this homeless encampment on the street. We're parked right next to that. And I was like, man, we're going to wake up in the morning and it's going to be like coming to America. Everybody walking around with all the shit that we had in the back of our trailer. All right, off-grid trucker. All right, you left because it was the end of lease. New truck. Okay, so there's another thing. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. New truck payments are too much. Freight wasn't enough to cover and make my minimum. You know what? And that's one thing that I can't factor in, because the truck payment on this, when I had a truck payment, was $1,163. So I'm seeing truck payments that are like $1,400, shit like that. So when I say that even if I had a truck payment, I would still be able to do enough, well, I got to remember, you just reminded me that my truck payment is like $300 less than what the current truck payments are. So yeah, Chinchilla, says, I got that retard string. Listen, if you were, us back in the days, we could say retard and shit like that just because that was a common term back then. But if you ain't 50 something, how you gonna be out here calling people retard, or you got retard string? So anyway, that's kind of what the deal is right now. I can't keep up with the changes. That being said, as far as the core people that I speak to or that I'm involved with, fleet manager, payroll, still haven't met my logs person. I'm not, but that right there is the saving grace. All right, off-grid trucker. God damn. This motherfucker would have. All right, off-grid trucker. I'm running crypto now. No more waiting in docks. Company driver benefits, no expenses, good time off. That's what I'm talking about. If I didn't live in Denver area, that might open up. I might be, I'd at least entertain that shit, but I'm just not out here trying to mess around with winter all winter long. At least out here, except for this year. and some maybe even last year. But usually you can at least spend a little time in the snow and bounce out. Ben, I'm not exactly sure what you mean right there, but anyway. And I kind of spoke with somebody else about this a few days ago in terms of not being able to speak to people about the company, and when we don't really even know what's going on with some of the changes that are made. I mean, hopefully in tomorrow's meeting they'll bring this stuff up, but some of these changes that are being made aren't being, they're not, no, they're not being put out there. Like, you don't know anything about it until you're in the situation. So that's kind of my thoughts on that right now. Let me roll up this window since this. Oh my God, Justin. That live load music is the worst shit ever. So I mean, even stuff as simple as that, right? At least you knew before. All right, I'm gonna make this live load call. It's gonna take me 20, 25 minutes, or if I'm on hold with the dispatcher or something like that, I may be on hold for a while, but at least I'm gonna be able to listen to some good music. That shit they got right now, boy. And damn it. Let me just get some air in here right quick. I'll turn this back up. So then people are saying, well, if you can't get a hold of live low call your dispatcher. Now, I love my dispatcher to death, but one thing he ain't going to do is answer that damn phone. So that's even a worse situation. Or, you could send in all the information and stuff like that. Just type it in and send it. And that depends on how long it's going to be before I need to get fuel. Because if they don't enter that information and I need to get fuel, either I'm going back on the previous trip number, which if I got to hit that reefer, that creates the issue. All right, Crash, I ain't got no dog in that fight, but I'm going to try to stay as far away from politics or anything revolving politics as far as I can. So, anyway. Because I'm scared? No, I just don't want to get back. Listen, I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. And it's not, that particular issue right there is not my, that's not the fight for me. But I do need to get to this terminal here. Probably, I told him I need to be back on the 15th. So I'll go there, do what I got to do. Hopefully that'll be like maybe 2 or 3 days. Run a couple more weeks and take my ass home And for those of you guys that want to train, you might need to come and pick me up. I'm going to be on so long. I might need to go back through TNT training. But so I ended up on this load. They tried to send me a load yesterday, picking up in, I don't even remember where. I didn't have time on my 14-hour clock. So I tell them that clock, that load doesn't agree with my clock. And they're like, well, you're going to be picking up these hours at midnight. I'm like, my 14-hour, they're making it try to seem like I just didn't want the load because I didn't want the load. I was just like, I didn't even want to waste the time explaining, the clock situation and all that stuff to them, because I wouldn't have had enough time to shut down, get my hours back, get where I needed to go, pick up, and then get the load where it needed to go. Still love my dispatch, man. My dispatch is the primary reason I'm still there. The other reasons I'm still there, and if I was younger, had more years in the business to go, that would change things up a little bit. But man, I like this Ron Popeil shit. It's like set it and forget it. I don't got to worry about like the tax situation. Everything almost gets ran just straight through the settlements. I don't got to worry about getting my own fuel card. I don't got to, you get the fuel discounts, all the maintenance gets ran through the settlement. Now that's one of the changes that they were talking about coming up, and how that gets done, which is just a major inconvenience and stuff like that. But there's a ton of reasons why I still have no plans of leaving Prime, but that doesn't mean that I feel comfortable telling people, or let's even say this, I don't feel comfortable talking about what's going on, things at Prime or anything like that, because I don't know. Everything keeps changing. But to get better, you have to change, right? All right, Off-Grid Trucker probably would have stayed at Prime if it was not for the weekly payment. That right there is kind of one of the things that I can see that. And the amount of time, well, there's other things that I would be saying. If you're going to be talking about greedy, there's several other things I would put before the truck payment if I was going to talk about things like that. But this situation where they're trying to pull trucks off the fleet, like you can only keep a paid off truck for, I don't even know how long that is anymore. But it's sort of like, I was listening to this documentary about the music industry yesterday, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but essentially what they were saying about the music industry is they keep these music artists in debt by giving them advances against the future royalties of their songs. So they're always chasing that money. They're always trying to recoup or chasing that recoup. And I kind of feel like that in a way. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you get a chance to breathe and... Hold on a second. This is Lyle.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Nancy from Student Debt Free.
I'm debt free. All right. So It's kind of being on that hamster wheel, and I'm just, man, it's that's one thing. That's one thing that I'm not sure at my age I could just keep chasing down. Let's see what this guy got. Nothing good. I don't know if he wants me to back up or not, but I ain't backing up. You can have to park on the other side of the street. Somebody with a little food truck. I just ate. I'm fine. Leah, what's up? All right, so that's what I'm not sure I want to jump back on, is that hamster wheel. So I'll just have to see where I'm at when that becomes the deal. But there's a lot of things they've changed as far as that shit went. You know what I'm saying? There was a time that you'd have your truck, so my plan back when I first was doing this was, okay, you get a truck, pay it off, run it for a year, payment free. Then Pedigree would take that truck, sell it, but now they got so much shit they can't even do that. So now you're having to jump through the hoops of selling it on your own, and that's a whole nother issue. So anyway, yeah, Leah, we need you to turn back around and go to the terminal and get represent them highway diamonds. All right, off-grid trucker, things change so quickly, can't count on nothing, unfortunately. This is a new phenomenon. These changes aren't just changes that have been there. Like, these are new. I'm saying new in terms of maybe, let's say, the last 2.5 years, 3 years, or I can't even put my finger on it. But it's like, if I was to actually sit down and think about it and write down every little change, because it's just been little changes, there's a ton of them. So anyway, Cajun Couple Trucking, what's up? T News, what's up out there rocking it? Landstar, Rakesh. Yeah, I'm still, man, last time I called you, you said, I'll call you back, I'm fueling. Man, this motherfucker must have 1 million gallons of fuel by now. Let me see when that was. I probably deleted it by now. Yeah, that's been a few weeks right there. So anyway. Yeah, Rakesh, hopefully you get that. Wait, I can roll my window down. Hopefully you can put your time in and do whatever you got to do to get that Walmart situation set up that you were looking at doing. Yeah, because I just had somebody, a couple weeks ask me if it was worth it training. Now, I know a couple people that are training, right? So I could ask those people, but then I know more people that used to train that aren't training anymore. And I'm talking about legacy trainers. I'm talking about trainers that had trained like 2-3 years, straight, that aren't training anymore. So I really can't even give advice about that. I don't know about what the new situation is with how you pay the students and if the freight is there to substantiate it. I mean, if the numbers that they're talking about in the meeting are the numbers that they're talking about, that is a lot less than what probably 3 times less, 4 times less. Yeah, than what I was making when I was training. So that's a whole lifetime ago. So I can't even talk to people about that. All right, Rakesh, that's the plan. Got to wait until there's an opening. Northeast to open up. You know what? Northeast, outside of the weather, at least if you're a Walmart driver, you could at least park at Walmarts. So it's not as big of a situation finding parking and stuff like that. But anyway, we want to get back to this title real quick. People that just came in, the title, I think I said it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I'm out here in the Dallas area, been out here picking up and delivering and picking up, and I haven't missed one exit yet. Now, I still got to get out of here, but I'm good for missing at least one exit every time I drive through this area with all this damn construction and having 3 different lanes split off of one exit and all this shit. So I haven't missed an exit yet. That's a miracle. As far as the other part of the title, I can't keep up. I really just can't talk until things level off. I really can't talk about Prime with any credibility right now until things level off and I know we're at least stable and what the changes are or aren't going to be or how are things going to go, because every time I try to tell somebody something, there's some kind of a change. So I just can't even talk about it. So that's kind of where that came from in the title. All right. All right, T News, Landstar's about to kick him to the curb. He hasn't driven in over a month to take care of my wife. I didn't think they really cared as long as you kept up with everything that you needed to keep up with and got all them, 45 million truck inspections you got to do over there. All right, off-grid trucker, I'm right. Keep them hungry, chasing that next big week. Run all these little loads to the next big one. Don't miss it. I'm glad you found a good place to be. And, I kind of had a moment of clarity about about the title and everything of this video as far as I can't keep up. And speaking about Prime, it's like this. Yesterday I was eating my muffin and drinking my coffee, and I had what alcoholics refer to as a moment of clarity. And I was like, I might have got one referral in the last year, so I'm not even doing that. It's really helping people are talking about stuff. And, I was thinking about what is the main thing that you need in selling. Now, actually, the main thing you need is a good salesman is going to sell regardless. But besides that, what's the main thing that you need in order to sell? Product knowledge. And if Prime is the product, I don't have the knowledge, so I can't even do it. Hey, good brother, how you doing? What movie is that quote? Alcohol. That is from Pulp Fiction. That's before Samuel Jackson said that he's gonna wander the earth like Kane from Kung Fu and get in adventures. Prime lost that Rena lady to Landstar. Who was that? Are you talking about Nia? The good brother hates Prime. Well, everybody got to hate something. I don't really watch Roadrunner Nia. I watched a couple that people had sent me about her leaving Prime. It's just, see, there's two. Her and Slime Pack do the same type of videos, right? Where you have a bunch of footage and then you have some vlogging and, you know, all that kind of stuff. The difference is Slime Pack actually talks about what she's actually doing, and you can listen to that video and get 95% of what it is out of that video, where Naya's, you know, it's a bunch of fluff. I can't do it. And I think that Slime Pack actually is a channel that can help, you know, because it's actually talking about load by load, you know, basically the whole thing. So as far as Naya goes, I can't, unless somebody sends me a video about what, you know, a specific video with something for me to watch, I can't do it. All right, let's see. Good brother. All right. You could have at least checked out my company and let me know if you were coming or not. You even sent me, or you even sent you my referral code. What company is it? Good brother, put your company in the description. I just, you know, like I said, it's a shame that to even be entertaining or even thinking about other companies. Gabe Trucking, man, listen, like I said, there are too many reasons for me to stay at Prime right now, right? But I've thought about if I was to leave, and I actually just saw an old Prime truck pulling power only for National Beef. I'd probably more lean towards that direction. But like I said, there's really no reason for me to want to go right now. I mean, there are plenty of things that are irritating me right now. Let me keep that one real. Now, T, also, with her going to Landstar, her YouTube channel is going to offset any issues she has with freight or any of that kind of stuff. You know, what I did hear is a lot of the issues she had with Prime, I think might be magnified at Landstar. But if you're making all that, if you're making more money on YouTube than you are hauling freight, really, the freight or the company you work for is, you know, it's the, I mean, I don't know, I just don't, she's not gonna go broke even if she doesn't haul anything, as long as she keeps getting them views. $500 sign-on bonus, man. I would never choose a company on sign-on bonus, almost regardless of the amount. But listen, I'm just a no headache type of person. You know what I mean? And minimal headaches is worth more than money. I mean, six figures. I mean, that's, you know. I mean, just think of all the, you know, some of the stuff you'd have to go through if you were to leave. Go get a fuel card. Go to, you know, it's just like, man, I just don't. I just don't want to. I hate changes. And I hate headaches. All right, Rakesh Nia audience also expanded past trucking. I need some of it's really good. A lot of it, especially the reason of comments, are just thirsty guys all coming at a pretty girl. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to watch her progression, right? But it's sort of like this. It's sort of like me telling some 24-year-old kid, or me compare myself to a 24-year-old kid that comes to prime, that doesn't have life experience, maturity, money in the bank, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's the same. Everything else could be the same, but those things, and it's going to be a totally different experience. And her with that money coming in changes the equation 100%, or not 100%, but you get my point. Man, I ain't putting in no damn application nowhere. I was hoping to get up here and get loaded early, and my appointment was 1300, so I got 2 more hours until my appointment time, because I hate driving till late at night and trying to find parking. So I was thinking about maybe just getting loaded and driving and shutting down real quick, and then picking it up later, coming off the road like 4 in the morning, something like that. But they got that truck stop out in, let me see where it's at. I kind of love this place, even though I don't like going to Louisiana. They got the Big Boss Travel Plaza. I-12 exit 22 was pay to park. My review from 4 years ago was great little spot. It's $10 to park. I think it's more than that now. But they got a nice little store. Parking spots are so big, you could do donuts in them. I would give this place 5 stars if you could park for free or spend $25 in the store. Oh, man. Now, I know the load I don't want to get coming out of that area. They have a coffee load. And actually, I might be okay because I'm carrying sour cream or some shit like that. But so I wouldn't have to get a trailer washout. But last time I loaded out of New Orleans, or they were trying to send me to New Orleans and pick up some coffee. That trailer has to be bone dry, and there was no way I was going to get that trailer bone dry, and that was a good excuse not to go down into the heart of New Orleans anyway. The good brother, I think that I will be unsubscribing soon. Man, don't make it too soon. Just do it now, bro. I have a theory that people don't want to work weekends at a warehouse, so that's why a lot of loads deliver Friday and don't pick up until Monday. And instead of 7 days a week, work Monday through Friday. You know, that could be the case. All right, off, get ready, trucker, get that Costco to Laredo, load, then Mastrodon. I've done that before. That was a nice little rip right there. I delivered at, what's that Keith place in Houston? Benny Keith or something Keith. Then I went and picked up at that one Costco place where they don't give you bills. They give you, I forget. Then took that to Laredo, got that Mastronardi load out of Laredo going up to Livonia, Michigan. If I remember correctly, that put me in the matrix too. Because then once I delivered there, I think my next load went from there, actually picking up right there, going to Wisconsin. And then Wisconsin down to Indiana, then Indiana back to Illinois. Man, I was in a good little route there for a while. All right, do I believe in God? Man, I believe in science. Hey, would somebody go check out this damn company Good Brothers talking about? Gabe Trucking or something? I ain't going nowhere. I mean, who knows what changes might be coming? I mean, I don't know, but it's like Aretha Franklin up in here. Chain. Except instead of change. Change. All right. Lyle ain't leaving Prime for some no-name company with a $500 referral bonus. Man, it's not the fact that it's a no-name company, and it's not the referral bonus. There just ain't no reason to go. Well, Rakesh, you might have just dodged a bullet, man. Because you're one of the people that was asking me about that training, you know, that money training. And like I said, I don't know. I just didn't know that I didn't know when I was given that advice. Or, you know, I think I still told you I didn't know, but I definitely don't know. And I'd have felt real bad if you would have left and came back and leased a whole new truck or another truck and then trained and that not work out. All right, Johnny B, I'm like you, Lyle. 50's got a nice setup with secondary income and property. I'm just going to Prime to finish my bucket list. See, that changes everything right there, because then you can the market fluctuations and turmoil and stuff like that doesn't doesn't impact you. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a bad run. Like, this hasn't been my best run. I don't know if this is the new normal. These last 6 weeks, I think out of the last 6 weeks, 4 of them have been pretty below average as far as what I'm used to seeing. But you're able to weather the storm, and then you're old enough to have the mindset where you're not so impulsive. Like, you get some of these young motherfuckers out here and they have one bad week and they're talking about turning in the truck. So I think that being older is one of the best assets, or one of my main advantages of being a driver right now. Deez is on his last day of home time, man. I know that's hard. All right, Rakesh, yeah, changes were a big part of not coming back. Man, they've even changed a few more things. One of these days, I don't know, man, I'm never going to be that bored to write down all the damn changes. But, I mean, we can go back to like 2.5 years ago. And Rakesh, one of them changes was on your truck. That's when I knew that whole change, man, they're out here like fucking your boy in CSI trying to figure out what happened to trailer tires. So Rakesh is out of the receiver, has a trailer tire issue. That was the first time when I got hit with a deductible on a trailer tire. And now it's just like, boom, that's just common practice now. And now they've increased it on new contracts from $500 deductible to $1,000 deductible. So, man, you could be changing a recap with a brand new tire and paying $1,000 to, So, yeah, that was a change I didn't know anything about. And then, what somebody could say is that was always supposed to be the case. Well, that wasn't always enforced. So your situation in Denver was the first time that hit me. So that, I don't even remember how long ago that was, a year. But even we're going back before that. All right. Off-grid trucker, only during COVID was there good training money. Man, my last student I had was money. I did train during COVID, but my last student that was not during COVID was the one I made the most money on. That was well after COVID. Man, COVID was, a lot of people liked that COVID situation. I liked it. I think that you could even look at the numbers. I just think that a lot of students that came out during COVID or trained during COVID were not as solid as the ones that came out after COVID or before COVID, because there was no traffic. That was beautiful. But if you remember, the worst part about COVID is these shippers and receivers were packed. Like, I still remember going to like the Walmart in Colton, California, line down the road. There was so much, it was so busy, you couldn't even back in. I mean, that I don't miss about COVID. The money was, that was all right during COVID, but I only think I trained one student during COVID. I was training near the end of COVID, if I remember correctly. Maybe one I did during COVID. That was about it. And I don't even think that was during the real COVID. I think that was near the end of COVID. All right. Cajun couple trucking, talk to a guy from Gabe Trucking, talk good in one sentence, then crap the next one. Not worth checking out. He said it, not me. It's way better than Prime. Okay. Rakesh, there's also a lot of nonsense out there about making $100K in your first year. Our folks just bragging about it. They're a lifestyle as a truck driver and not enough transparency. Okay, as far as because that's one thing that would be spoken about, right? And again, I think there's several reasons why people should train. You know what I mean? I felt like training because I had to pay it forward. Somebody took their time to train me. And I think, but anyway, I'm not even going to get into that. But one of the things they were talking about was, okay, how do you make $100,000 a year at Prime during your first year? Okay, you're going to go through PSD training. You're going to be making this much money. Then you're going to go through PSD, and then you're going to make this much money. And then you drive solo for however many months, and then you train. Man, now, I think I was at least, let's even say that I was way better. No, let's even say I was way better than average at trucking. And I'm not even going to say that when I first came out. Even then, at 6 months, or however many months that is, I was nowhere fucking near being able to train. I mean, even shit that I went through just yesterday, even this morning, man, I wouldn't have known how to handle these two situations with 6 months experience. I was coming down this road to this shipper, right? The road was blocked. They had like a detour. The detour was going to go through this neighborhood. I knew damn well I couldn't go through that neighborhood. A line of fucking cars behind me. So you know what I said? I just got to go forward. That's the only way. So as cars were coming forward, this was kind of a side. Nobody's coming up fast because it was construction. They either, they had to move inside the cones, or there was a little bit of an area where they could go around my outside. But I'm not even sure how I would have handled that as a new driver. I don't know if I would have taken the detour. I don't even know how I'd reacted to it. And then today I had to make a left-hand turn. Knew I was not going to be able to make that turn. As a new driver, 6 months, what I thought, well, I got to stay, I got to color between the lines. Let me, just stay in my left turn lane and, hope for the best. No, I saw that turn coming up. I got in the left lane, swerved back out to the right lane, crowded up 2 lanes to make that left-hand turn. Now, that's nothing that's like incredible, but would I have even thought to do that at 6 months? I mean, I don't know. So anyway, that's how you do it. You go through that. As soon as you're eligible to train, you train. Then you make X amount of dollars training, and then you make $100,000 in a year. I think as soon as you start talking money, because I don't know now, but training was the least. It wasn't even on my radar as to why I train, and I think there's a lot of people that might fall into that category. And I don't know. I forgot my damn point. All right. Cagey couple trucking dude at truck stop, not even dropped his name, but blowing off steam. All right. Damn it. I'm hoping they let me lease purchase right from the start. I don't need a custom truck. I can grab one of the Pete's or Kenworths off the lot. Man, I know somebody that did that. And I know that I was going to be able to do that when I first upgraded. But I didn't. That was a mistake. I should have done that. I think they just don't want to put people in a bad situation. So, yeah. Hopefully they let you do that too. Rakesh Man, listen. Rakesh says, yeah, the risk you take on versus the reward and your decision to downsize came at the right time. Listen, there's a lot of changes that happen. Exit. There's a lot of changes that came that made that like uh, an easier decision. But even it wasn't even the money, right? Because before I downsized to just me, I was looking at it and saying, okay, I got this truck here that's paid off. I got this other one. Let me just downsize to 2 trucks paid off and just run that. But man, the headache is just too great. And everything you got to think about on top of everything. And the changes they were making, man, I did not want to be up at the terminal every fucking other month trying to figure out how to get a driver. Then they started making it hard for, fleet guys to get company. They're blocking blessings. They're making it hard for, fleet guys to take somebody off of the company side. So you could have a company driver that's been at Prime for, however long, got experience, want to bring them over, pay them, 60, 65 or 70 cents, depending on how you break it down with bonuses and whatever, really bless them, be a blessing for both people, but then they block them blessings. Now you can't do that. So that was one thing where I was just like not going to be pulling people straight off of TNT. That was not going to be part of my equation. I equate pulling people right in. Listen, even myself, this is no hate towards brand new drivers, but I look at, spiders up here. I look at fresh TNT, or sort of like I look at Section 8 renting. It looks good on paper, but that shit could go south real quick. So that was one of the changes. Now they're, another change, just thought about it. Now they're making the fleet owners pay the 401k match if the drivers have a 401k. So, and if they're only wanting you to keep the truck so long on the fleet, now you're having to turn trucks over so fast that you can't really get that much traction unless you move over to the A fleet. And moving over to the A fleet brings up a whole nother set of headaches I don't want to deal with. So I downsized at the exact right time. Off-grid trucker, Walmart and Sparks for 10 hours. Man, that is a bad place to deliver. Sparks, Nevada, no freight nowhere. That is almost an automatic no right there. When I see Sparks, Nevada, definitely ain't going there in the winter. All right, Tito's and Soda. What's up from Cincy? What's up? Were dropping hooks more prevalent during the pandemic? I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. Man, I don't mind live loads and live unloads, man. Sometimes them dropping hooks come at a price. You can get a dropping hook out there in the meat patch and be walking around in pig, just some of that shit's just filthy. So sometimes I'm just happy. If I got a good trailer, man, just keep loading me. I don't need to be doing dropping hooks. But I don't remember if they were better or worse back then or not. Michael Farley, hit that like button. All right. Lenny McGarvey. All right, that's a legacy trainer at Prime. Are you still training at Prime, and how's that money going right now? Because I can't tell anybody that. All right, Cajun Trucking says a lot about the company. When you got to recruit to make a paycheck. All right, he must be talking about the other dude, Gabe Trucking. You have to finish a partial lease to get a used truck instead of a new one. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that. To buy used, okay. A fleet runs, all right. A fleet runs all the loads they can't. A fleet runs all the loads they can't give anyone else. Yeah, I don't know enough about that. FC Waffle, should I sub, man? We don't worry about all that stuff around here. All right. Blue 94, I kept my truck out of training and I'm buying it. 678 truck payment. It's good to go. All right, so I'm going to get off here. I'm going to come back here, take a nap. I was thinking I could slide in here early, but I think these guys are going to be a little strict with their appointment time. Looks like there's a few. Oh, hold on a second. This is Lyle.
Hi, are you the front driver trailer 243-269?
That's me.
I'm going to put your door 4?
Door 4. Open door slide tandems.
Correct. And chuck them wheels when you park.
And what was that again?
Chuck them wheels when you park.
All right. You said 4, right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye. All right. Perfect time to get out of here. All right, man. I appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Truck and Transportation. Comment, subscribe. I'm out.